So hi, Will Noise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with.
And I'm AJ from The Dangerous Summer.
And we have some questions to say about the upcoming album Gravity. So congrats on that. By the way, how do you feel about the response to the announcement so far?
Thank you. And man, it feels good. It feels good to be here again. And yeah, man, every time we get to be in a studio and make music, I mean, it's like going to college. It's like personal growth. It's like going to therapy. I mean, and then when the people take it, they take the songs and it becomes something bigger than it was in the first place. It's fucking magic. It's I'm lucky to be here inside of music after all these years, you know. We're all getting older and it's like thank God, you know, like I'm not working at McDonald's, you know. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but hey, you know, like at least I get to wake up and do what I love and release music, so I'm stoked.
Absolutely. Yeah. The album is so good. Your vocal delivery on these songs, dude, so good.
Thank you. Oh my God. Wow, you guys are too nice. Yeah, it was fun to make. And man, our producer, Will Beasley, he's like my coach, man. I have to give him a shout for getting the best vocal takes out of me, getting the best. And we spent a lot of time, like 7 weeks out there in the studio doing it. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course. And yeah, big shout out to Will and his band, Wild Truth. They're great.
Oh, yeah. Have you guys talked to them?
Yes. And I just had one of the bands I managed tour with them as well. So they're a great band.
Oh wait, who do you manage?
Late Waves. They're on Open Years Records.
I love Late Waves. I was telling Adam they need to come on tour with us. We'll talk. One of these days we got to get them out on the road.
I agree. We got to get them out.
They're really
on the road.
Good.
Yeah,
I think our fans would really fucking dig them too. So shout out to Late Waves. That's cool that you manage them. That's
Hell
awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So is there any meaning behind the album title or cover art?
Yeah, I mean, so like it got kind of crazy out there in the studio and you know, like going away for 7 weeks and you kind of lose yourself, you know, you start to feel like the spaceman out there, you know, just discovering and you start to have really complicated feelings. You're like, am I all alone out here? Like, am I churning my wheels for no reason? Like, am I gonna come home? You know, you start to feel like David Bowie in that song where he's like ground control to Major Tom. It's like you really start exploring these spaces of your mind and you really dig deep and you're not going home, you're not sleeping. And you know you start to feel that way, you know. And I think the album felt really heavy. It felt like, you know, it felt like I went out in outer space and then coming back into reality and dealing with the gravity of like real life. And you know, my girlfriend's at home begging for me to come home. My daughter is like, hey, where are you? And I'm like, I'm almost there, you know. We're so close, you know. So I think it was out of a frustration but an exploration. And you almost feel like in a way like, you know, and we made a music video for the song Gravity, and you kind of feel like these space people where, you know, the whole world's kind of cheering you on. They're like, come on, you guys, this is what you do. You guys are awesome. And you start to be like, well, who am I doing it for? Am I doing it for myself or am I doing it for other people? You start to really like, you know, crack apart the pieces of yourself and really try to understand why you're doing it and why you're doing it. And it was heavy, but we made it. And man, the when we saw that picture, actually, it's this photographer in Australia, Daniel Anderson. It's like, man, we never like pick album art. Like it finds us and it found us. And like, you know, same with Mother Nature and all these albums. Like I'm always like, you know, we know so many talented artists, but I'm always like, just wait, like something's gonna happen. And it came to us. It kind of showed up in front of us, and man, it just worked out perfectly. I think it fully encapsulates how it feels. The spaceman holding the surfboard, and yeah, he's out there surfing the waves, but he's all alone out there, you know.
Yeah. And I think it, you know, perfectly encapsulates the feeling that you were saying that you had while you were creating the record and all the feelings and emotions you had in those 7 weeks.
Yeah. It's complex, you know, and that's the thing is when you go to make a record, it's like you don't really have any of the answers. Even when you go to write a song, it's like you start with the first word and you go, okay, let's walk through this. You walk through it and you find pieces of yourself. You find things about yourself you didn't know existed. You start to be like, wow, I'm like really sad in this area of my life, or I'm really happy here. Like it's like a deep exploration. So yeah, like you find it. We found Gravity, we found the album cover, and it's through endless searching.
Hmm.
Absolutely. So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for the record?
Yeah, so basically, so we had our drummer Christian, amazing Christian Zawacki, Josh Withenshaw, and at the time Matt, who's no longer with us, but we would basically, I mean, jam out music. I mean, like, okay, we're all in the bakery recording studio, you know, the bakery with Adam. He owns it. Big, beautiful studio. We're all set up, the drummers in the drum room, and we're all in the control room, and we're just finding, you know. And even Will sat down with us for some songs, and you know, he wrote on the song Gravity with us, and he wrote some stuff with us. So we're all just like, what's the next sound? What excites us? What surprises us? And then it's like, wow, this song's really good that we're working on. Let me run to my lair down the hallway. And that's where I am right now in the studio room. This is my room inside the big complex of the bakery.
Hmm.
And I would go and I'd like lock myself away and try to write some lyrics. And I'd be like, hey, guess what? I think I have some. And I'd bring it back. And, you know, everyone's so supportive. They're like, yeah, this is fucking sick. So it's like whatever's the most exciting musically, I will write lyrics to next. And then whatever is exciting lyrically and musically, well, let's develop and develop until it can be the best it can be, and over again. And even when I'm writing lyrics, I mean, there's some songs where they started writing instrumentally while I'm still writing lyrics, and they're like, hey, check out what we just found. And, you know, they bring it to me, and we're like, okay, let's go. So it's a constant, by all means, by any means. Yeah, some songs we started with the drums, some songs we started with the guitars, sometimes we started with bass. I think, you know, any way we can make something new and something that excites us. It's all about, you know, if it excites you, there's something there, you know, it's just got to be, you know, we've been a band for a long time. Like, you know, we could just write the same stuff over and over again, but I want to write something that just feels like I've never done that before. I've never done that.
Yeah,
And so taking new paths and, yeah, switching up instruments. We would like trade instruments. I'd play some guitar, you know, we'd get on some keys and just try to change the mind as much as we can so we can come up with different stuff, different ideas.
that makes sense.
Hmm.
So, you know, you when you guys set out to make the record, were there any ideas, you know, that you guys came into the studio with, or was everything just like, we're here for 7 weeks and all of the ideas are going to come out of this time in the studio?
Um, there were a lot of ideas, and we always like kind of cycle through some of those, and less so like I mean, every album we have a giant folder like from Coming Home. We have like probably 30 songs that didn't get made, but we kind of leave those. But it's like kind of any songs that anyone's been working on since the time, like, you know, Matt and Josh would be like, hey, I got these riffs, and I'd be like, I have like this kind of verse chorus idea that we can develop into a song. So sometimes it came from that, but I think like is like crazy artists that we are, it's just kind of like the newest thing to us is the most exciting. Like, Will eventually had to tell us, like, stop writing music. Like, we got to work on the music you have, you know, because we're just like, I want the new. I want to make something different and new. And, like, you just want to keep pushing yourself and pushing yourself. So it ends up being that the newer stuff ends up being what you record the most. But yeah, there were ideas. We do like just living the album. I think when you live the album like fully, you know, 7 weeks in the studio, not leaving and making the whole thing as a cohesive thing, it starts to feel like a big piece. And it's kind of all we've ever known is a band. And it's probably not healthy. I mean, you know, like I live a mile down the road and I don't even go home and I just, you know, sleep in here. We don't sleep much, but, you know, we just do it until it's over.
Hmm.
But yeah, the journey of the record, I think there's something to be said about that. You know, I think records can really feel fragmented if A, you know, different people are writing different pieces and bring them, or B, if, you know, it's just over a 4 year period, we're just picking up random songs. I think, you know, you got to have some concentrated energy into the songs you're making. So we're really about that, you know.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Hell yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, what song off this album took longest to write, and which one is your personal favorite?
Wow. Okay. So, man, Gravity, the single, it actually had completely other words before, and I really always loved it musically, but there's something that kind of didn't happen with it. Like, and actually on the CD version, we're gonna release a different version of that song called "The Walls Outside," and it had completely different lyrics, completely different melodies, and everything. And it got to the point in the record where everyone's like, "Man, I love this song. Like, we got to put it on the record." And I'm like, I don't think it's good enough. Like, I don't think I put myself into it far enough. I don't think the lyrics are good enough. I don't think the melodies are good enough. I just don't dig it, you know?
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we want to add one more. And so I was like, hold my beer. And I went in, I locked myself in the room for like 3 days, like, and I like kind of lost myself in there writing the single gravity and just like, and you can hear my anger, my frustration and being like, and it was like days before we were about to head to Europe and
Oh
leave the
shit.
studio and everything. So I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna make this the best fucking song. Like, fuck y'all in a way. Like, but
Mm-hmm.
like it was just like, and that's how we kind of push each other. It's like, hey, like you can do better. We push to do better. So that song took a lot out of me, and yeah, it took days of writing lyrics, but it ended up being the first single, which is crazy. And then my favorite, man, I like the last song on the album, Into the Stratosphere. It's just crazy. It's out there. It's wild. Like it floats off into the world. I think the strangest songs are always the best to me. I just want to try to make stuff that just feels like it came from somewhere else. So I'm excited for people to hear that one.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
So how'd the track list for the album come about? Did you guys write the opener be the opener, closer be a closer? Did you shuffle around and see what fits? What was that process like?
Man, we always do that at the end, and I'm really bad at it. I always kind of tell other people, I'm like, hey, like even with singles, I'm like, I don't know, like I like all these songs, and I don't know how to flow an album, and the album's kind of an interesting thing these days in general. It's like, what is an album? Is
Mhm.
anyone even going to consume from front to back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, and there was a lot of talk, and it is funny because, like, I just kind of say to the people that care the most, like, I think our drummer and guitarist, like, they really like ordering. So I'm like, hey, you guys, like, man, I trust you guys. Like, order it, we'll listen to it, and I think they came up with a very good vibe. And even Will started coming in and being like, well, I think it should be like this, and I'm like, we just need to like get less cooks out of this kitchen, like we need to
You're
make
like, you
this.
guys
Can't
can
be.
have that powwow. Just let me know when it's done.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
it's just kind of hard because it's like, how do you like order this stuff? I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
like, and people will just tell you you're wrong or right anyway. It's like, I think with music in general, and that's why I have a hard time picking the singles. Is like, I don't know what people are gonna end up liking, like and to even give that kind of influence, like. The universe says fuck you every time you try to say this is the best song in the album. It's like they'll be
Mm-hmm.
like, suck my dick, motherfucker. No, it's not. Like, so it's just very interesting. So I kind of let the world take hold of that. I let the universe kind of decide that type of thing. And I think I try not to put much emphasis on each one. Like, they're all my children, beautiful children, and I love them for their unique personalities, and I hope they find their own way in the world.
Yeah, as
Mm-hmm.
soon as you put all your eggs in one basket on one song is when an album track is the one that is the big hit off of the record.
Exactly.
Yep.
Um,
It happens every time. So
yeah,
it's like,
Yeah.
you can't even begin to think that you have control of any of this,
yeah,
really,
yeah.
truly.
But
Mm-hmm.
when it comes time to you got to pick singles. Like, do you just kind of like let the other powers that be and just like let them do it, or do you want to have a say when it comes time for singles?
I mean, I like to have a gentle say. I like to kind of hear everybody's ideas first, like, like especially even like the label, like, hey, what do you guys think? Management, what do you guys think? And it's so funny because everybody has different ideas, and then you're like, okay, well, no one has any fucking clue what's gonna. And Will was even like, I don't think these should be the singles, and I'm like, I know, I get, I don't know, like, it's so fucking hard. Like, you could push the album any which direction, but I think it became very clear that we wanted Gravity to kind of be the first like thing that came out because it just felt like it had a lot of teeth to it, it had a lot of energy, and it kind of reintroduced the era. And then on top of that, I think it was like, who knows, like there's this one song on the album, With My Pen, which I thought would have been an insanely cool single, but I think it's a very divisive song. I think a lot of people are gonna love it and a lot of people are gonna hate it too. And I said that, and I think our manager was like, "Well, you don't want anyone to hate anything," and sometimes you kind of do. I think the hate kind of brings a lot of love. Like you gotta have both. It's like a battery. You gotta have plus and minus. So we'll see. Like, hopefully, we can make a cool music video for With My Pen and try to push it as like a single after the album comes out. But
Mhm.
I do think we picked very safe singles. I think people are going to be really surprised when they hear the rest of the album and be like, whoa, like some of these could have been singles, but it would have driven the thought of what this album is to different places. It's very eclectic, it's very different. There's a lot of heavy, there's a lot of, nostalgic, but there's also a lot of, I don't know, just vibey shit. I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
See what happens. 10 days, 10 days.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Gonna see you soon. So, would you be able to tell us where your headspace is at while you were creating this record?
Wow. I mean, I think it came from a place of a lot of clarity, but I do think we were in a really interesting place also because we were recording the same week that Coming Home was coming out. So we also got like all this like feedback about our album Coming Home and like whether it be bad or good. And so there were moments where we'd like read some stuff out loud and be like, fuckers, like hold my beer. I'm gonna go make a song like this. Like I'm gonna show them like what it's all about. If
Mhm.
that's what you want, like I'll give you a version of that. So I think there was that going on. But I remember, man, like coming to the studio, the bakery, and we were the first band to come and record here, and it's brand new, beautiful. Like, man, it's the most incredible studio. And just shout out to, yeah, Adam, open your ears. He created a compound where Will Beasley is at the helm, and it is like, I mean, you're like in one of the most nice studios in the country. And
Hmm.
just to have all the space to play and be ourselves, I think it gave us a lot of clarity and confidence, and it gave us a lot of freedom. So I think, it's like you put on that new shirt and you're feeling like $1 million, and you go and you hang out with people and you feel like you're the shit. You feel like I can do this shit. So it felt a lot like that. And I think that puts itself on the record a lot. There's a lot of good confidence of wearing that new suit. And I think Will too. I think he was really excited to be in the space and really excited to create. Because man, his old studio was like a dingy, like we were cleaning it out. It was like there was like Black Widow spiders behind the couch. I'm like, oh my
Shit.
God.
Ooh.
Ugh.
Damn.
The worst.
Wait, so you said that you were recording Gravity the week that Coming Home was coming out.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
That's ridiculous. Firstly, that's crazy. So, did you even have time to kind of bask in the response and kind of like step back and be like, album's done, people are enjoying it. You guys were just immediately in the studio.
Yeah, we were immediately in the studio. I think, like, man, like, we just, like, we're so obsessed lately where it's like,
Mm.
you just want to keep going, and especially, like, we thought about the idea of living off the energy. It's like, okay, like, wow, an album's coming out. We're gonna make an album while our new one is coming out. Like,
Yeah.
that's sick. Like, let's ride off that. Like, and we
Mm.
always talk about the story, like, not talk about Kanye West. I mean, he's a crazy fucker, but he was in the studio making what is it that Jamie Foxx song like the night of he won a Grammy for his other song. It's like,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
can't stop. You just, you got to keep going. Like you can't really sit around and celebrate and say we did it. It's like, hey, like I still feel like there's just so much more to tell. There's so much more to do. So
Mhm.
it's this obsession, it's this craziness, and I think, yeah, we drive ourselves insane. It's gonna kill us one day, but we fucking just we're obsessed with it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Mm.
So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should you do it in the car with friends and talk with headphones on? Is workout album, party album? What do you personally recommend?
Man, I think I always wanted to make a summer album with the Dangerous Summer, and it never works out. Even with Coming Home, I was like, man, we need to release this during the summer. Like the Dangerous Summer, it's in our name. It's the summer album. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta get in your car,
Mhm.
roll the windows down, feel the sun, man, and just drive and just, whether you're with friends or by yourself. Hopefully you're by the ocean or surrounded by trees and just literally just soak it in and let it become a part of your summer. I think I just remember growing up and you just have these nostalgic feels about summer and the albums that came along with it. I just want people to experience life to this record when they're on vacations or when they're at the bonfire on the beach at 2 a.m. with their best friends, living like some crazy night that, they'll remember forever. I hope these songs are playing somewhere in the background, even just quietly. I just want people to live to them
Mhm.
wholeheartedly.
Oh yeah, love that.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Fuck
So
yeah.
this one should be super, super quick off the top of your head. I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less.
Okay.
Mhm.
Complex,
Okay.
deep, and optimistic. Optimistic.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Perfect.
And in that same train of thought, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have while going through the album?
Man, I really hope they develop their own. Yeah, it's like I know how this album makes me feel, and I think what's really cool is when people take songs and they start to relating it to, like, their situations. They really get this deeper feeling of life to it. So yeah, nothing super specific. I think the album has a specific voice, and I hope they can just relate to it, and I hope it reminds them to keep living life, and look at us here all these years later, still making music, doing what we love. I hope everybody's doing at least the same.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Makes sense. So, are you able to talk about any particularly challenging or standout moments during the creation of this album, positive or negative?
Man, yeah, the whole thing was a big weight to lift, and I think, yeah, I mean, exhaustion. There was a point when I like passed out during the album, and everyone thought I was
Jesus.
dying or
Oh my
something.
God.
Yeah, we had like these crazy moments, like really weird moments of the album. Yeah, where I like, everyone thought yeah, they were over me pouring water on my head, and I woke up and I was like, what? And they were like crying and stuff. Like they thought, hey, there were some weird moments on this album that happened through, like, I swear, like this building also has like some interesting energy to it, where it's like, it felt like there's some spiritual thing going through this album, and I started to feel like this room was haunted, and there's this person that was helping me through this. It was some weird shit. Like, it's a strange album, like like, and yeah, it was all really challenging, and trying to, I think, during coming home, we started working with Josh and Christian, and I think this was the album where we really like dug deep into everybody going 100 miles per hour in their own speed. And I think us finding our voices together, we really struggled but found a way to be completely in sync as a band. And I
Mhm.
think that was I think we really grew personally, interpersonally together, and yeah, it was heavy. It was heavy. It was a lot of work, and it's like, we're not in the studio right now making an album. It's like I need a second after that one.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't blame you, and I'm glad you're all right.
completely.
You didn't die in the process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, and then part of me, like, I was like starting to be like, maybe I did die. Like, maybe there's some sixth sense shit. Like, who knows what's going on in my life.
Yeah.
My goodness, crazy
Jesus.
twist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for the last couple questions, going to shift completely away from music. So, if you could be one animal for the rest of your life, what animal would you be and why?
Man, I'd be a dog, like,
Mhm.
dogs, they're the best creatures, and they're man's best friend. I'd love to, cuddle up. Dogs, the cuddle companions, faithful people that are faithful little animals that just, man, their hearts, bless their hearts, like, man, I would love to live that life and look up at humans, and that's a fun life, that's cute.
I agree.
Yeah.
Dogs are sick.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
They are.
So, if you could have lunch with any celebrity or artist, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Man, Taylor Swift. I'm a huge Swiftie. I've been since the beginning, and it's funny because people always like chuckle, but it's like, even since like the early days, like, I think when Fearless came out, like, I was like, wow, I really get this. This is like if Jimmy World like had a country album. Like it's like she's always written, I learned a lot of my songwriting through like her albums and who she is, and I feel like I've kind of grown up in parallel. We're both 1989. I've just always followed her career, and she's fascinated me as a songwriter, as a creator, and man, she's the best at it, man. She does it. She kills it. So I would love to. And I'd love to bring my daughter. My daughter would lose her mind. So
That's good.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
that's sweet.
And for this last question, boom, you're on a desert island. You can bring one movie, one album, and one person. Who and what are you bringing?
wow. So one movie. Whoa, that is hard. Man, I would stick with the fun one like Back to the Future. I mean, that's a classic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
If it's on TV, yeah, I'll put that on. One album. Man, it's like I falter between these two albums where it's like I really don't even listen to too much music, but like when I do, it's just kind of like sad bastard shit, like the National High Violet or Phoebe Bridgers. I forget what that one's called with the ghost on the front. It's like I just put on those albums and I just like I just tune out. Like it's just
Mhm.
beautiful, beautiful music. So one of those, and person, I'd bring my daughter with me, and we would live the dream. We'd have a good time out there.
Nice. All
Oh,
right.
yeah.
So as I said, that's all the questions you had today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
I would just say please check out Gravity June 21st. I promise you might like it. And we'll be on tour US this summer, all through the summer, Germany, and then UK in September. And it's going to be a fun time. So everybody come out, come hang out.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, thank you for now. It's been AJ from The Dangerous Summer, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.